everybody, welcome back to another episode with Life in Private Staffing. Hope you're all well. Today we're talking to a highly experienced candidate who has actually transferred from hotels into the private household industry and then worked her way up to management position. So really sort of interesting career path, and one that I think a lot of people would like to replicate if they can. So welcome to the show, Ioana. How are you?
Thank you very much for having me, Phillipa.
No worries, you're welcome. Just so everyone sort of knows, Ioana's actually gone home to Romania to see some family. And that's where you are at the moment, aren't you, on your holidays?
Yes, I'm enjoying some nice and sunny weather, even though right now it's actually raining. But everyone's very happy to have a bit of a refresh because it's been quite hot lately. So, yeah.
And so when was the last time you were able to go home?
Last year in August, and because it was quite in the middle of this pandemic, we decided to come by car, which made our journey quite long and tiring, especially because it was the first time when we traveled. But because we thought it's quite dangerous at the time to go into an airplane, we just drive here.
And that must have taken you days.
If there is like a person who likes to drive, which is not the case of my husband, you just stop for about 2 times, I would say, for a few hours sleep. And then it takes you about 24 hours, 30 hours. It's not so bad, I would say.
Just eat.
It's very tiring and extremely boring, to be honest.
Yeah, I would end up eating my body weight in sweets. It'd be terrible for me. But at least you're there and you can see family, have a bit of time off work, and then, come back refreshed. So that's a good thing.
Yes, for sure.
Providing you don't get stuck. So let's cross all of our fingers for you. So tell us a little bit about you then. So where do you currently work and what's your current job?
I am working for a Russian family in central London. I'm a house manager for about 2 years, I think even more, to be honest. I am organizing the staff and the maintenance of the house and whatever comes midway, let's say. Because working in a house, comparing to a hotel, you're always getting something new, something different to solve, to deal with, to fix. So for me, it's like my second home, Of course, my house is not so big and so yes, but because I started there from scratch, I went as a housekeeper.
Okay.
Just after I decided to move from the hotels industry. It was a great experience for me because I've learned every single corner of the house. I know where everything is. Apologies.
Okay.
I know where everything is.
Oh, don't worry. Just the people at home listening, we keep having trouble with the video. Most people don't watch this video, so don't worry, even if the video cuts.
It was extremely, extremely helpful for me to know every single corner of the house because it's like a 5-story house. It's really, really big.
Yeah.
And I've started bit by bit, from housekeeping, then to take a little bit more responsibilities until I just took over everything. And this is very, it's a wide range of responsibilities. Let's say I can have a few weeks where I can deal with the usual stuff, or I can have weeks where I have to deal with the complete renovations of the outside of the house, or to deal with some craziness about the air conditioning, and I've learned so many things you cannot imagine. Sometimes I'm just contractors and they're telling me that if I want to change my job, I can definitely do something in their companies. But it's on the other hand, this is what keeps my position extremely, extremely interesting, and it keeps me motivated as well. Exactly, because I don't have 2 days the same,
You know what? I could not do your job. So the role of a house manager it literally blows my mind. And there's going to be a lot of listeners here that are in the same position because, you're managing it's just so varied and can be anything. You know, you could be like ironing a pillowcase 1 minute to firing someone the next to
And then
make, like I say,
hoovering some broken glass. And then,
yeah.
I don't know, the gardener comes, and then you realize the air conditioning is not working, and you have one of the kids who likes his room very cold. And then you go and change clean the filter in the plant room. And it's very complex. And it's true that it's not for everyone, because it can be extremely challenging and very, very stressful. And let's not talk about the fact that normally, or most of the time, house managers, they are working long hours when the people are in residence, you know. So when I didn't have a husband, it was amazing for me. I was there like nonstop. But then when I got married, it was a little bit of a challenge to make some changes and to actually make my husband understand that this is the field, you know. You make it an 8 to 5 job, Monday to Friday. I think the cases where a house manager can work like that are very, very little, you know. They need you there to make sure that everything is working smooth. There are no dramas, there are no problems. So in order to keep this under control, you have to be there and keep an eye on everything.
And the house you work in, is that a full-time residence?
Yes.
Okay.
They're on holiday just for the big holidays like Christmas, normally all the school holidays, let's say. And then they are away about a month and a half, like this year, during the summer. But the rest of they are in there.
But if anything, I've sort of known from talking to enough people that life's ever so busy when they're in residence. They go away and it's even busier because you only got a short window to get things done that can't get done when they're there. So there's no rest when they're away.
You know, it's very funny because when they leave, everyone is like, oh, finally, Ioana, you're going to get some time off. And I'm like, no, now I'm really busy, actually, because I have time to do a lot of maintenance, a lot of the house, a lot of things that I cannot normally do. I'm not gonna like hoover the heavy curtains, for example, when they are there. It's a little bit hard to organize this type of work. So I enjoy because nobody's there. I can organize, and my favorite part is the fact that nobody interrupts you in the middle of something. Because normally you start to do something and then there is someone calling you. The other one, they want something else. It's like I can never finish something. This is one of the things that stress me quite a lot.
Yeah, I bet. So your journey through, I think, is really interesting because a lot of people that want to become a house manager, they expect to come and just be a house manager, especially if they've been a manager in a different field or a manager in a hotel or whatever. They are at a certain level already, and therefore when they step into the private sector, they want to go straight into management. That's very difficult to do. And actually working your way up like you did, I think, is a fantastic way of doing it. It takes more time, I appreciate that, and it's a longer journey. But I think you become a really good all-rounded house manager, especially if you are with the same family for all of this. Because like you say, you know the house. If a house manager was to come and do your job tomorrow, they're an experienced house manager, but they don't know the house, then they're going to be so nowhere near your level because there's so much to learn, isn't there? And so so let's go back to when you actually got into the sector. So you were working in the 5-star hotel chain, weren't you? The Bulgari hotels.
I worked for another hotel before. Then I got into a very good nannying job. And meanwhile, I did some reception academy because I thought working in a hotel reception is quite interesting, you know. But where I was working, they didn't want to let me go. And I couldn't say no to them because they were extremely nice people. I cannot express really in words how and kind they were. So I've stayed there for another year. And obviously, when I really decided to leave because I didn't have any experience and I finished the school maybe more than a year ago, it would be very, very hard to actually get a job. So I just went to the agency, like a recruiting agency, and I said I would like to go to a very nice hotel where I can start from scratch and and work my way up. And I remember there was a guy in there, and the way he pronounced Bulgari, I couldn't understand. I have no clue there is a Bulgari hotel in London. I knew about the jewelry brand, but I couldn't understand. So then I went, because the interview with them was the next day, I went home and I started doing my research, because I wanted to go there to know a little bit about the place. And I was like, wow, this is amazing. It's actually a new hotel. They were open for about 2-3 years maximum. And it was something else. It was like really, really nice. And I went there. I was a house, like a maid, because in the industry there is a big difference between a maid and a housekeeper. So I was a maid, then I got promoted to a key maid. Meanwhile, the HR department sent me to do some courses, and I became a departmental trainer, and I used to do the health and safety as well for the new girls that were working there. And then what I found very hard, first of all, was the responsibility that I had, because those rooms were very expensive, and the standard was sky high. Like we were having every 6 months inspectors coming as any guest. We wouldn't know who they are, to check the services and how we work, from spa to waitress to everyone. They will make a report, and then we will get our rating. So it was extremely, extremely stressful. I loved it, but I found very difficult to work with people from different cultures, and who did not appreciate when someone is a little bit different. I was meditating for speaking nicely with our guests, and then there were girls who their English was not so good, and they will say some random words, and I found this like really frustrating. Like, we have to be amazing, everyone has to be amazing. So I couldn't match somehow with this, but I used this experience. I've learned a lot, like really, really a lot. It was hard. I used to dream these rooms. I'm not exaggerating. I started yoga at some point because I was dreaming about these rooms. And then I just checked the internet, and I said, you know what, I can do this at a different level. I can just work for another family. It helped me a lot, my nannying jobs from the past, because I knew a little bit how it is to work in someone's house. And I just got, I put my CVs with different agencies, and shortly they just recruit me. They found me this family. It was my only interview, actually. And I went there. I remember I waited for like an hour for the lady to come and speak with me. Finally, she came and she told me, okay, come for like a trial, for a few days trial, to see how it is, if we're right for each other. And I remember my first day, the chef, they have a lady who's working with the family since forever. Most of their staff are with them for many, many years, like 20 years, 18 years. And she told me, okay, can you start by cleaning these plants in the hallway? And I was like, oh my God. But I started, and it was nice, because the level was very similar with Bulgari. So I knew exactly what I have to do, where I have to clean all the little corners and all the little tricks. And then there were some changes in the family. So I just started to take over more and more. But as you said, before I took over more responsibilities, they actually employed another house manager, a lady who was very, very nice and very kind, but she only had experience working in a family office. And for her to come there, it was a little bit different. So one day she came in the morning and she was like, should I come and check if you cleaned properly the house, or how does it work? And I was like, excuse me? So eventually she was not the right person. They were really not the right fit. So somehow I took over, and yeah, now I'm here.
There you are.
I wouldn't change it for, I had situations when I've been offered another job, or some other families heard about me and they approached me, but I just didn't feel to go. I wasn't even interested to hear about salaries or program or anything. I wouldn't leave them for that easily. I don't know, for me it's like my second house in there. So
well, you know what, that is such a testament to the employer, to your boss, because they're obviously managing you in a way which everyone's responding really well to, because all of the stuff, like you say, has been there for a long time. And I sort of think, I spend a lot of time thinking about, the way employers treat staff, and employers are so sort of like critical when it comes to recruiting and looking at CVs, and actually candidates should be critical of employers too. And it's really important that employers start to step up and create environments that people don't want to leave from. What is it you'd say in particular your employer does that makes it so special for you there?
It gives a chance to people to learn. It is not important for them to bring in someone who is very good at what they're doing, like wow, but more someone who is willing to learn. Because you can have a lot of experience and you can know, I don't know, to be an amazing housekeeper, but then if you are not the right fit, if you don't have manners, for example, or if you are, I don't know, the little things, they make a big difference. I don't know, people bang the doors. There are things that you need to have them, and then you need to be intuitive. You need to, I have this saying, you have to know what they need before they even think of this. You need to be always one step ahead. Of course, this is the ideal level. Not everyone is like that, and they don't have to be like that, but they give the chance to learn. I think this is amazing. And as long as there is someone who is hardworking and respectful and is willing to learn, it will last there for a very, very long time. I didn't know. I've never been a house manager in my life. There were so many situations when I got in I was like, oh my God, what I'm going to do now? The PC company, because we have like a commercial system in the house, like very complicated. They decided not to work with us anymore. And it was everything broken. And I was like, oh my God, what I'm going to do? How I'm going to find another one? But then I just took Google, is my best friend. Best companies, research, call, find out prices, contracts, what they can do, experience, reviews, and then you find something. So for me, it's a blessing that they actually give this chance, not only to me, but to everyone, to be honest.
Yeah, I think I hear this so often. It's so true. I think when people are in positions, the career development and the sort of training and stuff that's available is more important often than salary, than loads of other things. And people are so fixated. People think salary is the most important part, but it's not. It's exactly what you said. It's the learning opportunities within the role.
Yes, the learning opportunity, and I would also add the recognition and the showing your gratitude for what they say, for what they do. I've learned this from my jobs previously. For me, it was such a rewarding thing to hear at the end of the day, Ioana, thank you so much for what you've done today. It really matters, and I had a situation with a housekeeper recently. I kept on, every day when she would go home, I would say, thank you so much for today. Thank you. And she was like, you don't have to say thank you for me. I'm here to do this. I get paid for it. You don't have to say thank you. And I was a bit shocked. And I realized that she's really a little bit not the right person in there.
Yeah, potentially, for sure. But like you just said earlier, like these little things go such a long way, and a small thank you to the right person means everything. And it's just that sort of creates such a positive environment, doesn't it?
Yes.
And especially in our industry, working with clients of such different levels to us when it comes to wealth, I think the employers that do really well are ones that don't act like they're any different, and they are grateful and appreciative and treat you respectfully. I think that's so important from an employer. And when we see employers and households that have a high turnover of staff, it's because they don't do any of those things. They're disrespectful to the staff. They don't care about the staff. And it's so short-sighted. Just treat everybody fairly and create a warm environment, create an environment of learning and development, and you'll get back a lot from your staff. So I really like the idea of going from a hotel across, because I think the training in hotels is so thorough. So if you know, those people that work in hotels have got such high levels of attention to detail and are so well trained. What I think is frustrating sometimes is when we, especially as a recruiter, we present CVs to clients, say for example a house manager like you, and if someone's got a really strong hotel background and they're new to the industry, so many employers won't give them the chance because they haven't got private household experience yet. But it's like, well, yeah, but they're a really, really good housekeeper. I assume with your hotel background, you probably love to see hotel experience on CVs, do you, when you're recruiting?
I do. It depends which kind of hotels, to be honest. I like to believe that I'm not very picky, but I would look twice on someone who has a 3-star hotel experience. Comparing to someone who worked in a 5-star hotel, because there is a difference. There is a difference. Good, because in a 3-star hotel everyone is moving, you know. But then in a 5-star hotel they are more keen on the details. So this is something that we need, you know. It's not a factory where you can learn to do something and it's every day the same. You need someone who, if they see a stain on the pillowcase, either they will know that they have to change, or at least they will think to ask, there is a stain in here, should I change it? And it's not a problem if they ask, because I would tell them, if this is the case, you have to change it. It has to be always perfect, you know, and not only this, but a lot of other details. So yeah, I would look on the experience, depends on the experience. I would also look at the commitment and the way they evolved during the years. So it was a situation we had to recruit a few months ago, a nanny, and someone recommended me this lady. I didn't get her CV, but I spoke with her on the phone first, and she sounded lovely, you know. And then I asked her about background. I always ask people about their future plans, and for me, it's very important what they answer when I ask them if what they're doing it's something that they really like and do it with passion, or it's something that they do because they need the salary, you know, like they need to pay their bills. This is something that, to me, it tells a lot about someone, you know. So she sounded lovely. She told me that she has some experience, and it all sounded good. But then she sent me her CV, and she actually worked like 2 years for a family 5 years ago, and then she worked in an office on a completely different field. And that was, I say, okay, let me give her a chance and really interview her in person. And then just before the interview, she texted me that she actually got another job in another office for the council, something like that. So it was the red flag, it was there, you know.
Yeah, I agree. The CV doesn't sort of need to stack up, and I think the passion, we talk about this a lot on this podcast. If you're not passionate about this industry and about what you're doing, you're not going to have a successful career, because it's really hard work. And if you're passionate, you don't mind. But if you aren't passionate, you're not going to be tough enough. It will become too much, I think.
This job, it will be a burden, because you're working with people that tells you what to do. One of the frustration of the co-workers is having someone telling them what to do, and even worse, how it was the situation in the hotels, someone who's checking you and they call you back to do something better, you know. This is very frustrating for people if you're not open-minded to understand that this is their job. It's nothing. It's just the way it is. It will be a burden, and people eventually would get frustrated and they will leave, or anyway, be efficient. And you can see the passion, and then you can see just the needs of having this job.
Exactly. And it doesn't work at all. Sorry, my light's just gone out. It doesn't work at all when you're trying to give feedback to somebody and they are defensive and they're not listening to the
Yeah.
feedback. You know, you need to be aware that you're gonna be checked and told what to do a lot, but you need to be very, very willing to receive the feedback. Otherwise, you know, that attitude just never works in this industry, does it?
Yeah, for this reason, I always tell my colleagues that I'm not okay. I'm the house manager, but we are working together. We are all a team.
Yeah.
This position, so I can introduce myself to some other people who they don't know who I am, but working together. If she needs to change some sheets very quickly, we will do it together. I mean, I want them to be relaxed, to ask me or to come to me in any kind of situation, just to be sure that I'm open to do anything, or we need to clean the floor or wash something. It doesn't matter, anything. Like,
Yeah.
no, because I was there from the beginning, and I would also like to support them. I don't want them to look, I want them to look up at me as someone who's helping them and who's there for them. I don't want them to think that I'm looking down at them or something like that, because I've been in these positions and I know how hard it is. And when I resigned, my manager, the department manager, I remember, I will never forget this. She asked me, so what would you like to do now if you're resigning? And I said, I would like to go to the next level and do the same thing, but in a private house. And she told me, if I was you, I would change my career, because you're not as good as you think you are. And I was like, I was very, you know, they stop you, you know, continuous attitude like this, from there, just because they want you to succeed, it can really make you believe that you're not able to do what you're supposed to do when you're actually not that bad.
That's such a horrible thing to say to somebody. That's just someone that's bitter because you're leaving. That's all that is.
Yeah.
Strange.
Of course, it can put you down, but it
Of
can
course.
also be stronger. So I took this as a, good luck to you.
Yeah, good luck. I'm going to go and prove you wrong. So let's talk a little bit about the recruiting side. Because the last couple of episodes we've done, we've focused a bit on the recruiting and your personal preferences, because a lot of people listening that are looking for work, and it's tricky when you get out there looking for work, because each recruiter and each house manager or each principal looks for different things and likes different things. So there isn't really a right answer when it comes to how to write your CV, how to conduct yourself at interview, how to converse with the principal, etc., because it's all personal preference. But I suppose speaking to lots of different people and getting lots of different insights will create a bit of an all-rounded, sort of perspective on it. So your personal opinion when you're recruiting then. So firstly, what qualities are you looking for in an employee?
Commitment.
Yeah.
Commitment, it's something that is extremely important, because I'm in a place where I can teach people, and not only myself, but the principals as well. There is a situation when I'm not at work and they are asking something where they don't know, but the lady will say, okay, I'm going to show you how to do it. And she would show or explain, and then they can do it. I think commitment, and I am looking for someone, and I appreciate when they are open-minded, because as we said earlier, there are so many situations where you have to understand that there is nothing personal with you. It helps a lot if you don't judge what you see in the house, the way the house is running, the way the principals are living, because it is a different world from the world that I live in and you live in, and normal people are living in. Every house has so many little, sometimes crazy things. I don't know, like details. You need to put the slippers in this place in this way, or that, so they have to be open-minded and not judge. Then I really keep an eye on someone who wants to do this on a long term. like not necessarily to create a career. Even if it's the case, like this is even better, because I feel sorry when my housekeepers are leaving. It happened like a year ago. I had this lady, she came for an interview, and I asked her, what would you like to do on a long term? Is this something that you like to do, or you have some different plans? And she told me that she's here to improve her English because she wants to be a nurse in Europe. And I was like, okay, that's amazing. But I have to be very honest with you and tell you that I'm looking for someone for a long period of time. And I would not be able to move over with you because I don't want you to leave in the next 6 months. It's a little bit, as much as possible. I think we all need the same people in the house, not to change. And it's very uncomfortable for them. So she was like, please, can you give me a chance and I will do my best. And she was there for 2 years. She was a natural housekeeper. She didn't have an experience in a 5-star hotel, but I asked her to come for a trial and she was amazing. I teach her some things. And then when she left, it was like we were all so sad. She go to be a nurse, but she was there for 2 years, and I could only be so happy that she actually fulfilled this dream of hers. In the same time she learned all of this, the principals loved her, like really loved her. And I even called her a few times after that to ask, maybe you're thinking to come back. It was not the case, but I would always be open to find her a place if she's deciding to come back. So you see, commitment is very important.
But also it's great because by the sounds of it, you're the kind of employer who will give people chances. So people who don't necessarily come with tons of experience and all the rest, if they demonstrate these qualities to you, as you say, like commitment and flexibility, etc., you're willing to give people the chance, which is great because a lot of people don't. Yeah, how do people break into the industry if they're not going to be given the chance? And as you experienced with her, it paid back in spades, because by giving her the opportunity to prove herself, you had a fantastic housekeeper for 2 years. So it was well worth the risk for you.
Yeah.
In terms of a CV then, how do you like a CV to look? What's your ideal length of a CV?
I prefer a short CV.
Yeah.
Because I think having the most important things on one piece of paper rather than 3, it creates a stronger image about the person that you're about to meet. You don't have too many details about the school they study, the university or things like that. You don't need like a triple paragraph on their duties for their 3-5 jobs. So I like it short because it's important to discover the person when you're talking face to face to them, because you can feel them, you can see their actions, you can see their hesitations, you can see the way they answer your questions, you can see what they have to say. If you read everything in a CV, you don't really know who you have in front of you.
Yeah, I suppose it leaves plenty open to discover when you meet them in person.
Yeah.
Do you like a photo on a CV?
To be honest, I hate it, but yes, because if I was working in a hotel, no, because they're much open. But in a private household, yes.
Well, it's useful, isn't it? Because presentation is important.
Unfortunately, yes. It's still, I think there are the little things like a little tattoo that they will not, or someone who likes their hair green. And they might be frustrating, and I don't like it personally, because this person might actually be amazing and exactly what. But because of these little details, you just have to move on with your recruitment process.
Exactly. And ultimately, you can feel bad, but ultimately it's not really your choice. It's on behalf of the principal. You know what the principal likes and doesn't like, and they can have whoever they want in their home. They want to be comfortable as well. So it's just one of those things. What's your favourite role to recruit for?
Nannies.
How is it?
I think
Because
it's
that's your background.
not necessarily, but it's such a personal thing to find someone matching for a child. It's, I don't know, it has to be so particular, not necessarily so particular, but I'm looking to find like the kindest person. Also the, you know, they have to be certain times strict, you know, they can be super jump together in the bed, for example, but then when we have to do something serious and you have to be firm, you need to be firm. You know, I think this is a very, very interesting role to find.
Well, it's funny you say that. It is interesting, and it's very complex, and because of the different dynamics and relationships a nanny's going to have, because they need to have a relationship with you, a relationship with the principal, and more importantly, a relationship with the children. As a recruiter, that's one of the most difficult roles for us to recruit for, because we don't know the children, you know, and we might know you quite well, and we work hard to create a relationship with the person who's doing the recruitment, so we can really understand the household, the dynamics, the other staff there, and do a match as best as possible. But when it comes to children, it's there's another layer of difficulty involved. Well, I've always said it's quite difficult recruiting for private households, because if I was recruiting an administrator for an office, I haven't got to worry so much about personality fits and being in someone's home and having a nice, you know, fit within the culture. You just need someone who can do the job. But with a house, you need someone that can do the job, but who's going to get on with the principal's wife, which is often a very complicated relationship, with the rest of the staff, and then with the children themselves. And then as a recruiter, we have no idea how the parents parent. So we don't know if they're strict parents, if they're soft parents. We don't know if the kids are with them much or not with them much. And so, so when we put forward nannies, we put forward a normally broad range of types of nanny with the information that we have, and then ultimately it's down to people like yourself to get that, you know, the right fit. But it's a complex one, I think, the nanny child, you know, matching.
And I imagine that when you're getting families looking for nannies, probably not directly families, house managers or family offices, maybe there are people who doesn't know these kids, most probably at all, or they're not very open to actually say that this kid doesn't like math at all, and really have to have a good strategy to do this homework with them, or the little details. There's so many personal details that you need to feel. I mean, you need to find the right person, and then you have to open up about all these particularities. It's very hard, and it's hard from my side. It's interesting and hard in the same time, but I can only imagine what it is from your position. It's like we're in a black room trying to find someone.
You do get there you do get there, and the stronger your relationship with the client is, the better, you know, ultimately. Which, well, I bang on about all the time, which still blows my mind why some families will send a job spec out to a huge number of recruiters and just say, send me CVs. And as a recruiter, I'm like, that's just not helpful. Like, if I'm up against 9 other agencies and I've had no information from you and no phone call with you, then that's just such a waste of time. You're so much better off as an employer. Pick 2 really good agencies, have a very strong relationship, have very good communication, 2-way feedback on HCV, etc., and you'll get that perfect person. But so we still get, I don't know if, hopefully you don't do this, but we still get emails from a PA or a house manager, here's a housekeeper, send me CVs. And it's like, can we have a conversation? No, I haven't got time. I've sent this to 8 agencies, first come, first serve. And it's we don't even work these roles anymore, because that's just stupid. If I can't even have a conversation with you about your position, why would I waste my time trying to pluck some CVs out of thin air in the hope that you might like one of them? Racing.
Someone in such a place with you working there, like,
honestly, we only really work exclusively now with clients. Oh, I don't mind working with one other agent, but if a client has got a vacancy out with 5 agencies, we won't involve ourselves, because we don't need to be part of this scrambling race to get CVs over to you as quickly as possible when there's no relationship with you and there's no. It's just not. It's a sloppy service. We don't do that. But again, with nannies, even more important. If any house is looking for a nanny and they send that job spec out to lots of agencies, what a waste of time. What a waste of time, because it's such a complex recruitment process. Anyway, I could talk about that forever. So you've got your CVs. You're going to interview stage. What would you advise people when they come to interview with you? Like when it comes to presenting themselves, preparing, like what do you like to see in somebody at interview stage?
First of all, the way they're presenting themselves, like the clothes they're wearing, the makeup they're wearing, the way their nails done. Even this is important, you know, because there are most of the households, they will not like someone with some ginormous green nails, you know. It's not really the way we work. So presentation will be very, very important. And then honesty. They have to be honest. They have to be honest about their experience, about their level of English, because there are still a lot of people who are considering very, very little spoken English like good English, you know. But then have an interview with them, because you cannot understand each other. I had the girl a long time ago. She was recommended. I just have to interview her. She came with her phone on Google Translate.
Yeah.
It was like, I can't, I would love to, maybe you're amazing, but I cannot use Google Translate. I would love to, but I don't have the time. Honesty, presentation, honesty. And then I think they have to go there full of confidence and relaxed, because it can be a stressful process, especially if you find a house manager who is very straightforward and very tough and firm. It can be very, very intimidating, you know. Someone who doesn't have too much experience, they don't know how it works. So I think this is important. And then experience, you know, if you've never worked in a hotel, there is a very little chance that you will be amazing in a house with these standards. You know, some cleaning houses there and there and there, they're good, you know, but then the level of details and what they have to do here is a different level. It's a little bit of a different story. It's still cleaning, let's say, for a housekeeper, but it is a little bit different. So they have to be honest with themselves to see what they've done, what are their options. A lot of research helps a lot, and just go there with their open heart, and they have to see the match as well with the person in front of them, because you're not going there for someone to pick you. I think here is a two-way thing. It's not about picking someone. You have to pick each other. Otherwise, it's not really going to work.
100%. And I think if people remember that, it might help them relax a little bit. It's very much you interviewing the employer as much as the employer interviewing you. And it could be a case, and we have this, you know, not all the time, luckily, but where the employer loves the candidate and makes an offer, and the candidate just has to walk away because it's not for them. And it's not, you know, they came out of the interview thinking that the role, it wasn't the right fit for them. And I think what you touched on with confidence is really, really important as well. You do need to be confident in your own abilities, because the last thing an employer wants to feel is that you are unsure on your abilities and your capabilities to do the job. There's nothing worse. I want to know that you can do the job. You need to assure me that you can do the job. And so even if you are good, but you haven't got confidence, you need to really build on that, or wang it, like fake it. If you're not confident, don't fake your experience. Like, you need to be a good experience. But if you're not naturally good at talking about yourself in a positive light, you just need to force yourself to, because you have to come across confident. The employer needs to come and interview knowing that you are going to be very, very good at doing that job, or very willing to learn, you know. Fantastic advice there. And so just to sort of wrap up then, you've obviously spent years in the hotel industry, years in the private service industry. You're obviously still in it. I assume you're enjoying it. What is it specifically you love about this industry, and what would you advise to someone that's considering moving into it?
First of all, it's less stressful than in a hotel.
Interesting.
And there you're running. It's very demanding, as in everyone is asking something from you, and you have to be quick, and it's physical work and mental work. And they're I think, very little positions in the hotels industry where you have a chilled job. I don't think such thing. And then you're working with a lot of people. You have to deal with a lot of people, with their personalities, with their requirements, and so on. In here, it is still stressful. There can be very stressful and challenging days. Depends on your position. For a house manager, it is mostly like this. But then you are with one family, like you have two principals, maybe 2-3 kids, or maybe not even that. You have very little people, and you learn about them on a personal way, because you are in their house. It's not someone that you see every day when you go, it's their own house. People are different when they're at home, when they're in a home. So you learn everything about them. You know that when you see certain attitude from them, it's better not to talk to them, because maybe they're stressed or busy or tired, and it's not, So I think you learn them. You learn their habits and everything, and that makes it a little bit easier. It was like a joke with one of my friends. She's working in an office, and she was always looking around for a different job because she was stressed and not happy, and so on and so on. And then she said, you know what? I know them all. If I go in a different place, I have to learn everything from scratch. I know they're not the best, but I know them and their mind, and I'm here. So better for me to stay here. Of course, this is not an advice. I prefer people to evolve and move up, of course. But you learn them, you know them. Exactly, it's one house. Of course, depending on the situation, there are people who are working in a different households. Their day houses and so on and so on. But it's easier.
Yeah. And as they say, it's better the devil you know, isn't it? So whilst you may have frustrations in your job, you could go to another job and have the same frustrations plus more frustrations. Yeah. I always think people shouldn't quit quite so quickly and easily as some people do. Not in this current market, but when people call, they've been in the job a few months, but I want to quit. Well, why? Well, X, Y, Z. And it's like, well, you don't know what you're going to go into, and that could be worse. So I think when you're about to leave a job, you need to make sure that it really is the end of the road for you, because the last thing you want to do is leave and then have regrets on leaving. And actually it's like, there's a good thing going on for me there.
I resigned many times in my mind, like,
yes,
first was, okay, that's it, I can't anymore. But then you go home, you relax, you sleep, and next day I cannot wait to go back there and just move on with things. It is like this. When it's stressful, it's stressful. It's not easy. It's tough. Work hard. And then depending on the family you're working for, there are so many cultural differences. It's crazy, like really crazy. You need to adapt and to understand them. I don't know, like Russians, some of them, or maybe most of them, when they're talking, even when they're complimenting you or praising you, it's like they're killing you. They're very and you're thinking, what are these? Is it good or is it bad what they're saying? So this is something that you have to learn as well. But then you learn, and you know, and you move on, and that's it. It's not easy, but passion makes the difference, and your willingness to take on the challenge, it makes a big difference.
Yeah, completely agree. And like you say, it is difficult, but you get to know the family really, really well, and you have that really special bond that you wouldn't have in any other workplace. My staff definitely don't have that bond with me. Obviously, we don't live together, but you definitely have that certain something. If the family and the fit is right, and if the fit is right, and you know that family well, and everyone's happy, it will be a long career for you there. So look, that sort of brings us to a sort of natural end, really. I want to thank you very much for your time. Thanks for coming and talking about yourself, your journey, and and a bit of advice from your point of view to those potentially listening, looking for work. It's just nice to speak to a variety of different people, especially a variety of different people who do the same thing. And I suppose just quickly I can touch on, before I close up, our new Silver Swan House Manager community. You're now part of it, aren't you? The WhatsApp group. We added you to that WhatsApp group. So just for people listening, we've created at Silver Swan a house manager community. So if you're based in the UK and you're a house manager, drop us an email at households@silverswanrecruitment.com. And the idea behind it is, there's lots of house managers out there, and your job is incredibly difficult, incredibly stressful, and you're expected to know a huge amount of things, and you just don't. You don't need to know it all. You need to know, you just need to find a way of getting different things done. And so we thought, wouldn't it be good if we created a group, created a platform for lots of house managers to join. We have a WhatsApp group, we'll have some events, so you can lean on others that do the same job as you, and have friends with other people that actually understand your job, because so many people don't. And so we've created a WhatsApp group. It's already really active. We have lots of people asking really random questions, which no one else will be able to help them with other than other house managers. And so anybody listening, if you are, as I say, UK based for now, a house manager, drop us an email at households@silverswanrecruitment.com. We'll add you to the WhatsApp group, and then you can start talking between yourselves. And each time you have challenges, each time you need to find a florist in an hour, or you need a kids entertainer, or you've stained something, especially the staining, come to Ioana, she'll be able to help you with that kind of stuff. And then hopefully that just provides a nice community for you guys that are doing such a difficult job out there. So thank you very much for joining me, and thank you to everyone listening once again. If we can help you with your recruitment, help you with your job search, come and visit us at silverswanrecruitment.com. Feel free to connect with me directly on LinkedIn, and I will look forward to talking to you all again in a couple of weeks. Thanks everybody. Bye.